Of course, it's related to engagement and the fact that you're getting less creativity and less people wanting to do things. Like there are numbers to productivity in the end, right? So we have these numbers.
We do. And again, this goes back to my whole, if you like, sales pitch that I would go into companies with. So, numbers can be very, very dry.
Yeah.
But they do speak to board members, and they especially speak to the financial, so the CFO and the guy on the board that's the accountant who is obsessed with trying to work out these numbers. And don't get me wrong, these are great people. They're there to do a job, and that's the job they're doing. So they're there to try and work out how this is going to benefit them. And for example, the types of numbers that come out in the US last year, $1 trillion was lost to mental ill health in the workplace. $1 trillion. That effectively wipes out, debt for most of the planet. We're talking numbers that are astronomical. $1 put into a mental well-being, mental health strategy returns $4. You tell me somewhere I can get that type of return on my money, and I'll put my savings there tomorrow. Quite happily. It's this whole sort of more staff leave companies because of toxic workplace environment than they do any other reason, even pay. So if the workplace is toxic, people won't just stay because of the money. They will leave. They will get up and sort of walk. And of course, then you've got the impact of having to replace that individual. So you go out and you retrain somebody to do that. But you've got to first of all find the right person. Yeah. So you've got to find that person. Then you've got to train that person. Then you've got to give them so many months for them to bed themselves into the company. And of course, if the workplace culture is toxic, by the time this person's gone through 6 months, which is probably what it's going to take to get them to a place where they're going to do something, they're just going to turn around and walk anyway. So, we sort of ignore these really, really big warning signs. Your staff going. Well, so many people do exit interviews, but how many people do stay interviews? Why are you staying with my company? Well, because you treat us really well, because you do this, because you do that. But you could also be doing this. This would be really good. Once you're doing an exit interview, it's too late. They've gone. They're going somewhere else.
Yeah, of course.
So, this is the bit that we forget when we're a sort of a business and we're trying to talk to business about well-being in the respect that the financial argument is overwhelming that treating staff right, looking after mental well-being, looking after the well-being of your employees, whether a startup, a founder, a FTSE 100, a billion-dollar company, which is why so many companies sink so much money into well-being offering.
Yeah.
And there we have the next problem. And the next problem comes because you have lots of people who want to say they're doing something, but don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So they just spend
money. That's what I wanted to ask you. What does it mean, well-being? I could tell you from the tech industry in Israel, right? This is where I come from. So they have so much, benefits, and they have ice cream in the office, and they have someone coming and doing yoga lessons, whatever. And they have all of that. Sometimes it's even too much because you're looking for in the next place you should have more and more and more. And it's like, what does it really mean in well-being for a person?
So the interesting thing in that question is, again, for many, many years, I've been campaigning against what I call initiative-based well-being. So initiative-based well-being is things like, well, today I'm going to have yoga on a Friday. And then tomorrow, on Monday, we're going to do a course on mindfulness. And then that's it for the next 6 months. and then we're going to have an ice cream on a Friday, and then we're going to have a da-da-da-da-da. These are all initiatives. So these are all, and businesses have become really, in my opinion, really over-reliant and seduced by the quick fix nature of an initiative. So an initiative turns around and says, this is a really good thing to do, and I'm going to come in and do it. And you're like, yeah, sure. As a one-off, that's a really good thing to do. Mindfulness, brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Do it right, really, really good. But if you only do it once and then someone disappears, or they come in and they teach a course on how to do mindfulness, and then you never go back to that, it's pointless, because you've only had this one-off lesson on X, and then everyone's... So for me, it's about the culture of your business. So what we should be looking at is strategies, so strategic-based well-being. And well-being in terms of mental well-being. So if we think of... So mental health, you can kind of think about on the same sort of spectrum as physical health. So, every day we kind of fall on that line. So today, some of us are fitter than others, some of us sleep better than others, some of us eat better than others. We all do lots of different things. In the same way, mental health will have different challenges during that day. So some day we'll be stressed because we've got extra work to do, anxious because we're being told that we've got to come on a podcast and sort of talk about mental well-being. Mood changes happen, things like that. And these will all happen on the same sort of as a physical health. When we talk about well